This upcoming Monday will be 3 years since they unveiled the Tesla Cybertruck, and it feels like they've honestly renounced it. Like, they've taken away a lot of the specs. Elon has alluded to the price definitely going up, and he's now made tweets about them doing a quad motor, getting rid of door handles and rear wheel steering and crab walk and all this stuff. It feels like it's just turned into Elon's fantasy land, but I'm here today to tell you in today's video that it is real, it is not vaporware, and it is coming, and we're getting closer. And we have some production hints to look forward to, because these things would not be happening if the Cybertruck was being canceled or scrapped or delayed indefinitely. Starting with probably the biggest indicator at Giga Texas right now, they've been posting job applications specifically for the Cybertruck assembly line. People that will work on the factory floor overseeing the processes of manufacturing this giant truck at scale. That we've never seen before, but that means that Tesla is quite literally putting their money where their mouth is. They're putting the job applications out there, hiring employees at the factory to say, please come work for us, please oversee this part of the business. And the fact that Cybertruck is directly listed in these job postings is a very encouraging sign. I don't think they would be doing that if they were planning on delaying the Cybertruck again. So I definitely think there could be a large stage of prototyping, tinkering the assembly line, and even perhaps keeping the Cybertruck production models within employee ownership so they don't deliver it to non-employees for a long time. So don't get your hopes too high on any kind of early deliveries or things like that, but the job postings are definitely a very good sign. In another update, quite literally, that Tesla has been baking into their mobile app is they are baking in code and references to a Cybertruck, whereas the code is referring to it, the Model C, which is not to be confused with anything else in the lineup. You know, they already started adding full complete 3D models of the Tesla Semi for the mobile app, which is still hilarious to me to imagine truck drivers using their mobile phones to control their semi-trucks, but that's the reality we live in now. And while they haven't quite put full-on renders and CAD files into the mobile app, wisely so, because I imagine all of the animations and CAD files they bake in will probably give away a lot of the Cybertruck production intent designs, things like if there's a mid-gate or how the tonneau cover works or what the yoke and driver display look like. All those kinds of things will be revealed once they start adding those assets to the mobile app. But the fact that they're already adding it now and kind of building it on top of the Model Y controls definitely implies that, like Elon said on the previous earnings call, they are likely going to be building a few more beta units that Tesla employees might have the privilege of driving around casually. So I'm excited for that, because it just means an increase in the number of Cybertruck sightings, just like how we've had a lot of Tesla Semi sightings in the past few months. It will be really, really fun to just see casual employees of Tesla just start driving around Cybertruck units. And they're not necessarily completed, finalized production models, but if they're building this code for the Cybertruck into the mobile app, that means there are employees that are going to be using their mobile phone as a key with those beta units, and that kind of gives them time to prep and design software for the Cybertruck Interior. As you can tell from the unveiling night 3 years ago, that the UI and the software for the Cybertruck is quite a bit different. It almost feels like a completely different company designed it. Like, the font is different, the layout is different, the boot up screen and everything is quite a bit different from the rest of the Tesla lineup. So adding those assets to the mobile app is a good, important step. And there's definitely some other clues we have gathered about the Cybertruck that we feel pretty confident about now, since Tesla has opened up the NACS connector, also referred to as the North American Charging Standard, which is basically the Tesla connector they've been shipping on their vehicles for a long time. In the past, in earnings calls, they had referenced that with larger vehicles, it makes a lot more sense to have a 800 volt or 1000 volt architecture, but it doesn't really make as much sense for their smaller vehicles like the Model S and X or 3 or Y. So in those previous statements, that made a lot of people convinced that the Cybertruck was going to be built on a different voltage, an 800 volt or perhaps higher architecture, to allow for better energy output, faster charging, and less losses overall in terms of energy consumption. Now that we know that the NACS connector, the same connector Tesla uses on their current vehicles that I'm sure they plan on using with the Cybertruck, they're saying this will be able to sustain an 800 volt architecture. So that increases the likelihood that the Cybertruck is going to be quite an entirely different beast from every other Tesla on the road today. And I will admit, as much as I have doubted that Tesla will actually deliver a long-range Cybertruck, you know, something north of 400 miles, I still think they're going to compromise on the range for the sake of production efficiency and settle for something like 310, 320 miles. But if Tesla is switching to the 800 volt architecture, that's going to make a lot more sense on larger vehicles with much bigger battery packs. So if the Cybertruck is supposed to be this supercharging charging beast, because 3 years ago, Tesla did say at the unveiling that it would charge at over 250 kilowatts. The stars, I got to admit, are kind of aligning and pointing to the idea that the Cybertruck is going to have a really big battery pack, and having 800 volts and being able to charge at over 300 kilowatts would make a lot of sense if you were planning like a 400-mile range variant or something along those lines. It's also possible that they just want a really efficient architecture and fast charging, because the Cybertruck is likely to be the least efficient of all of Tesla's existing vehicles. So even if the range is 310, 320 miles, it will probably still need a 120 or 130 kilowatt hour battery pack. With battery packs that large, 800 volts starts to make a lot of sense, and I really hope I'm wrong. I really hope they exceed our expectations with a higher range, but knowing that the NACS connector is capable of 800 volts is a good sign for Tesla's future larger vehicles adopting that higher voltage. And last point that I want to bring up that was also mentioned in the NACS document is that the Tesla connector is capable of vehicle to grid, or vehicle to home, or vehicle to load, which does imply that if they've baked that technology into the connector, and it seems that they've tested it before, they've said it's capable, and they know it works, but they haven't launched that on any of their existing vehicles. Feels like a weird feature to leave out, even though that port is capable of doing it. I would say that them disclosing that with the NACS ports increases the likelihood that perhaps the Cybertruck, in order to match the capability of other electric trucks on the market right now, like the F-150 Lightning, that do offer vehicle to grid, perhaps that means the Cybertruck will be the first vehicle that they offer that will actually power your house during emergencies. It's not a guarantee though. I mean, definitely they've talked about in the past how, you know, you tend to charge your car late at night when it's not sunny, and if you were to use your car's battery when it came home to power your house, that would imply that you start the day with a fairly low charge on your vehicle. So I'm pretty sure Tesla feels confident that power walls and lithium iron phosphate are going to make a lot more sense for energy storage at home, whereas vehicle to grid is going to be more of like an emergency backup solution. You can tap into your car's battery when needed, but ultimately most people are charging their cars from home. So unless your car is home all day getting its energy from the solar panels on your house, then it doesn't really make a lot of sense to do vehicle to grid, at least that regularly. But I don't think having the option in case of emergencies or as a backup is a bad idea. But Tesla's mindset might be more towards like mega pack and helping the grid offload its peak times. That way we don't have as many of those blackouts where we're worried about the grid going down, because batteries are keeping the grid alive. They don't necessarily need to be the same batteries that are in our trucks, but I'm really hopeful that the Cybertruck is going to get this, because a lot of people need electricity in emergencies or out and about or while they're on the go. So being able to use the Cybertruck to charge other EVs or to power tons of appliances when you're camping or out away from society during the apocalypse would absolutely and obviously be a great feature, and I don't think any Cybertruck reservation holders are going to complain about that technology being there. This is a big, massive battery pack, pretty much the largest battery pack that Tesla will sell to consumers. Tesla Semi doesn't really count, so we might as well provide more options and more availability into how to access that power in all circumstances. But those are pretty much the biggest Cybertruck hints I could find as of right now. If there's other things that are standing out to you guys, feel free to let me know down below, but it is feeling a lot more real. I think especially adding assets to the iOS app, as well as hiring people at Giga Texas that are specifically being trained with one purpose in mind. I still think there's going to be a very large test period, so there's probably going to be a big gap between Cybertrucks are coming out of Giga Texas and a consumer is actually taking delivery of one, because Cybertruck is so insanely high in demand, and I'm sure that there's tons of Tesla employees, both executives and factory workers, that are waiting on their truck. So if they just want to keep it to internal use for now so they can kind of control any kinks or figure out any quality control issues, they could probably find enough customers within Tesla's own staff to buy every Cybertruck they can build for probably like the first 3 or 4 months of production. But what are your guys' predictions? How long do you think it'll be until we get the Cybertruck's official range numbers from the EPA? Do you think it deserves a second event? Should Tesla do a site refresh? All that great stuff. Let me know your thoughts down below. And thank you to everyone on Patreon supporting this channel directly. It seriously helps us out a ton, as does just watching these videos. So thanks again. Have an excellent rest of your day.